Okay, so now we're getting into the really serious stuff. As you can see, we're going to talk about world domination. So we were talking about what to mail your list. You know, we've covered getting people to your website and getting them to opt in and the whole bribe to get them hooked up and get them on your list. And now we're going to really talk about world domination, okay? It's about how to influence people with your list. Most people want to influence people, other people, to give them money. But it could be other things. It could be, you could have like, I have lots of people that are sort of like what I call the save the world folks. And if there's this whole spectrum, you know, here's your whole spectrum, and on one end, you know, is like, just show me the money, give me the money, and the other end is all peace, love, and grace. Whereas, you know, this person, they might just want to be, you know, we had one recently, it was about divorced fathers. And this is a couple, and they were very interested in working with fathers going through divorce so they didn't lose touch with their children, which a very large percentage of newly divorced fathers lose touch with their children. It's a very sad thing. And so they were aware of this and had done work in this area. And so they had you know, a whole training program and a whole community built up to help these fathers that were going through divorce so that they didn't lose touch with their kids. So they're on the sort of the save the world side of the equation. And then there's the others, you know, I just want to make $1 million and hopefully like tomorrow. And it's like, it'd be much better if I didn't have to work, if people would just, you know, won't they just send me the money? You know, why do I have to put in the work? So there's this whole spectrum. And once you start building a list, then you can, you know, use your world domination, and you can go in either one of these directions. And the reality is that for most people, once they do make their $1 million, a lot of people do start to tend more towards the save the world. And these save the world people, they realize that if they can make $1 million, it's a lot easier to save the world. So anyways, what I'm talking about here really is influencing people with your email, influencing the people that are on your list. It doesn't do you any good to have this big, what do we call it, freaking huge list. Doesn't do any good to have that freaking huge list if they don't open your emails and take the actions that you want them to take. So now we're going to talk more about influencing people with your email. Now watch, this is something fancy that's going to happen slightly off camera. I actually now have this high-tech hook over here, so I don't have to bend over and pick up my my little cleaning rag thing. So that was pretty slick, wasn't it? It was just a very professional operation. Okay, and I didn't use any permanent marker. As you can see, the permanent marker is in fact not permanent. Okay, so, you know, earlier we were talking about how to, you know, what to send people, you know, that you want to be aspirational, that you want to circle through those fears and dreams and frustrations and hopes and circle through that. Give some how-to, give some news, lots of aspirational stuff, the revelation of self, letting them into your world, letting them know a little bit about you, letting them know that you're human. People don't like to buy from humans. They don't like to, or I'm sorry, people don't like to buy from companies. They like to buy from humans. And, you know, it's amazing. It might seem counterintuitive, but the internet is all a very humanizing thing. You know, we used to have these big monolithic companies out there that, you know, didn't answer to anyone and sort of they've had no personality behind them. Now they're getting beat out by brands that have personalities, brands like my brand and the brand that you're creating. So when you send an email, one of the most important things is, you know, in copy and sales letters and traditional marketing, the headlines of the all important headline. I mean, that's the number one thing, right? You really got to get the work on that headline. I taught you already that when you're going to test, the first thing to test is the headline. Well, what's the headline in an email? The headline is the from in the subject. And now, since so many people are using Gmail, if you look in Gmail, you'll see the first sentence of text in the email. So it's also like when they're looking and trying to decide if they should open your email, they'll see the from, they'll see the subject, and then they'll see the first characters of the first line. Characters? I actually did win a spelling bee when I was in 5th grade, so I'm pretty good. I think that's right. No, it's messed up. There's like an A supposed to be there. Anyways, so I see a lot of people screw this from line. The from line will be like from, Acme Supply or whatever. They'll have their company name in the from. Bad news. You don't want to do that. I don't know why people do that. Maybe they just don't pay attention. Maybe they just don't look at what their emails look like. Maybe they just think it makes them seem big and official and like something else in some dude in his garage, right? That's bad, You see my emails, my company, Internet Alchemy, they don't come from Internet Alchemy, they come from Jeff Walker. So you got to use a name here. Use a name in the from because people don't care about companies. They don't open emails from companies. Subject line. This is a whole art form. With the subject lines, the whole thing is to be interesting. Okay, so this is one of the number one rules. The number one rule. That's a D. That's a B. And that's a B. And that stands for don't be boring. That's the number one thing when you're publishing. You can't be boring. You have to be interesting, entertaining, engaging, exciting. So that's what your subject has to be. I love to, let me see. I'm just trying to think of some good examples, but, one I just sent, you could even don't be bored, or here, one I sent yesterday was this. This was the subject line I sent yesterday. That was stupid. A lot of curiosity behind that subject line. It got a really high open rate. Now, normally my subject lines, I'll put the ellipse, the 3 dots, just to sort of carry that momentum forward. It's like, it's like, what's next? A lot of times I will not capitalize anything there because I want it to seem like a personal email. But this one, I put a period there. And to tell you the truth, I did not split test this one. So I don't know, it might have worked better with an ellipse, or it might have worked better without any punctuation. But this case, given my position in the internet marketing space and how I have a tendency to come out with very definitive statements, I think that was stupid with a period. It did get a very, very high open rate, very successful subject line. And it was all about, I had a server crash, and it was just stupid that the server crashed. But it's a curiosity headline. Curiosity headlines are really, really good. Headlines, they change over time what works. So you want to be observing competitors, what other people are doing, and you want to be testing. Now, testing of subject lines, and again here, I want to talk about testing with subject lines in just a second, but here, the first few characters, again, if you look at the first sentence in your email, you try to make that engaging. Curiosity is a great way to engage people. Making a strong statement is a great way to engage people. Being very, writing in a very personal tone is a great way to engage people. Now, one of the things that you can do with Profile is split test your emails. And this works really, really well. And it's incredibly awesome. And you get totally hooked on it the first time you do it. And basically what you do is you can create, my high-tech hook is failing me here. If you could, I hope that was off camera. You couldn't see what a comedy that was. Okay, so split testing. Now we talked about split testing on your squeeze pages and how easy that was. Very, very easy. This is like 100 times easier. You go into Profile, and when you go to create a broadcast, what you do is you just select, instead of new broadcast, you select split test. And then you can choose to split test up to 4 different areas, okay? Or 4 different emails. So basically what you then do is, let's say, you'll get the box that comes up and says what percentage do you want to send to each? And, I say 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. And then what you do is you could create 4 different versions of your email. And stuff I split test very often is the subject line. So basically you'll write 4 different subject lines. So you could put "that was stupid" with a period, "that was stupid" with an ellipse, "that was stupid" with no punctuation. You could put "that was really stupid," or you could put something completely different. "That was stupid," or "that was awesome," or "I can't believe that happened," or whatever. Completely different subject line. So basically what this does is this sends out 4 different emails, okay? 4 different emails and it's going to split them across your list, 25%, just whatever, It's all nice and scientific in that it's completely random who gets what. And then you just create 4 different emails. Now, I've tested a bunch of different things. You can test the subject lines, you can test the body copy. I've actually this is sort of cool, is I tested what time I sent the email at to see, because I guarantee you, if you send it at 5 in the morning or 10 in the morning or 2 p.m. or 4 p.m., it will get different opens depending on when you send it. So I know what time my list responds the best. And I actually know what time on what day of the week it responds the best. I've tested this stuff. And I'm not going to tell you what works best for my list, because your list could be very different. There are markets that are wildly different. I've never done anything or sold anything into the, how to pick up women market. But from what I understand, Saturday evening is the best time to mail them. Because they're all sitting at home. Well, the theory is they don't have dates. They're sitting at home on Saturday night, and they're bummed out about it. So if you send them an email telling them how to get a date, they're going to be responsive. Now, I don't know, I've heard that. I don't know how accurate the psychology is. I don't even know how accurate that data is, because it's just something I've heard anecdotally from people I know in that market. But obviously, it's a different market than if you're publishing about the stock market, okay? And I know for years I published about, I was telling you, I published in that whole stock market stuff. And that was before I had the split testing capability that you get with Profile. And I would email just after the market closed. So that was 4 p.m. Eastern. So I would send about 4:15, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Because I know personally for me, that's when I would, the market's closed, okay, I can relax, I'm going to go check my email. And, I wasn't checking it during the day because I was watching the market. Well, so recently I published some stuff in that market. And since I got Profiling, I got the split testing capabilities. I tested sending at 7 in the morning, and then 11 in the morning, and then 2 in the afternoon, and then 4:30 in the afternoon for years I published at 4:30 in the afternoon. Well, guess what? Publishing at 7 in the morning gets a much higher open rate than publishing at 7:30 or at 4:30 in the afternoon. So 2 things you learn from that. One is split testing rules. That business, I don't know, it was doing when I sort of got out of that business, I think we were doing about $500,000 a year, I think roughly. This is distant memories, so I think that's what we were about. But if I was getting, a 25% higher open rate by sending it at a different time, I could have been making another $50,000 a year. Who knows? It's hard to say, but all I do know is that if I had sent it at 7 in the morning, I would have gotten a higher open rate than at 4:30 in the afternoon. I didn't know that because I didn't have the capability and I didn't test back then. So that's one thing to learn, is that you can make more money and be more influential and be more effective when you test. And the other thing, sort of the meta lesson, is you are not your market, okay? Just because you think some way or you do something, you are not your market, okay? And I guarantee you, if you're publishing about something, since you're in business, you're a publisher, you're completely not your market. For most of us, we are publishing to people that know a lot less than we do about whatever we're publishing about. That's just the nature of things, right? You better know what you're doing if you're publishing. And the reality is most people are newbies. Most people are beginners. And that's in every market in the world, okay? Like, I know, I'm teaching about internet marketing, about how to grow your business online. The reality is most people are newbies. If you're teaching how to play guitar, the reality is most people are newbies, right? And if you think about it, it only makes sense. Look at guitars, okay? Everyone in the world, whoever has played a guitar, started as a beginner. I'm talking the world's greatest guitarist, at some point in their lives, they were beginners. We all have to be beginners at the beginning, right? It's just the way it works, Eric Clapton, he played his first E minor chord sometime, just like I played my first E minor chord. That's just the way it goes. And now, so you have this vast pool of beginners, and only certain people advance on to become intermediates, and then experts, and then virtuosos. So just the nature of everything is it's a huge pyramid. So you are going to be publishing to beginners, people that have less experience than you do. And it's really easy to think about what's going on in your head and forget that they are in a different space. You are not your market. So I know I started with split testing, but this is a really important concept for you to get. You are not your market, and always try to, that's what that avatar does for you. It puts you back in the space of your market, and they're probably beginners. Okay, split testing. Real easy to do. You just create 4 different emails. Or if you're split testing the subject line, you just create same email, but different subject line, and you'll see dramatically different results based on your subject line. Now, one thing you're thinking, okay, it's like, okay, Jeff, so we do the split test, okay, and you put together this email, and you split test 4 different subject lines, but now that email's sent out, and it's like, okay, so what good does that do? Because, you might know which is the best subject line, but you already sent the email. So this is what you do, is in Profollow, you basically have the capability to create as many lists as you want. And most of us will, over time, end up with multiple lists. I've got a whole bunch of them. And almost everyone does have a whole bunch of them. And what you'll find out, different lists will be responsive in different ways. Certainly your customers and clients will be more, they're going to be more responsive than your prospects. But then you're going to have new prospect, just over time, like I've got probably for Product Launch Formula 4 different prospects lists built in different manners at different times. So what I do is I take one of the smaller ones and I split test to that one. So here you got your small old list here, right? And then you've got your this is your freaking huge list here. What you do is you email this list and you go, all right, let's go. Okay, cameraman, where do I have white space here? Right here, you do your split test. And you test 4 different subject lines. And if you want, you can just test 2 subject lines. You don't have to test 4, okay? But you test, okay. So you got your small old list, you test 4 different subject lines, and you email that out, you let it go for 4 or 5 hours, and after 4 or 5 hours, you realize this is your winner, okay? So what do? You just take that over your freaking huge list, and you mail that out. And it's that simple. Just, so basically, right now when you're just starting out, you might not have the 2 different lists, but eventually you will. Or it could even be worth just running traffic into 2 different lists. It's really easy to do. Like if you had a squeeze page, just like for like a month, run it into 1 list, okay? And then create that small list, and then go create another list, and that gives you your small list that you can test against. I'll finish on this. So basically that's how you do the split testing. It's all built in. The only effort it takes is clicking the split test button instead of the broadcast button, creating either anywhere 2, 3, 4 different subject lines, test out those subject lines, get the winner, and then use that on your big list. Beyond the subject line, you can test stuff. You can test body copy. You can test what time you're sending. You could even test what day you're sending. Although, that one gets a little messier if you're going across days. But you can test the time. You can test the copy. You can test the links, what the links actually say, the text for the links. All very, very easy and very, very built in. But the idea is you test to a small list and then you roll out to a bigger list. Very, very effective. So that's the basics of testing. Okay, so now we want to drill down a little bit more into your actual email structure. So you're going to have, one thing I like to do, first of all, you want to have sort of an overall tone. You want to develop your own style. But within that style, you want to shake things up from time to time. So I think you like something that you definitely want to do is write long and short emails. So I never like to be predictable. So I think compared to a lot of my competitors, I probably write a little bit longer emails. I probably average 500-word emails. It could go up to 800 words. So yeah, somewhere 500, 600, 700 words, I'll send a lot. Sometimes I'll write really monster pieces that might be, 1,500 words, but then I'll also try to send those 30 or 40-word emails. So I definitely like to mix things up, and I think you should as well. Another thing you want to pay attention to is your paragraphs. And I see this is something, we want them to be short. A lot of people write really long paragraphs. Doesn't work so good in email. I mean, very rare for me to have a paragraph that's more than 3 sentences. Most of my paragraphs will even be 1 or 2 sentences. So lots of paragraphs. Give people some white space in their emails, and they'll read them a lot more effectively. Something else you have to think about links very carefully. And generally, what I'll want to do is you want to build the links right into the flow of the email. So what I'll usually do is I'll go, we're going to have to go to our magic erase cloth here. And so I'll have 2 or 3 main ways I'll go. I'll go fairly lengthy and then link. Then a couple lines, link, link, and then I sign off JW, then I'll have a PS, link. So it's real classic where I'll try to hook them right early, give them some type of a story, lead them down into a link, re-summarize, then another link, and a third link down there. Another way I'll do it is like 1 line of text, then a link, this is an awesome video, link, then describe it a little more, then another link, then best regards, Jeff, and then PS, a little bit of PS, and then a link. Sometimes I'll do this, but it'll just be 1 or 2 lines there. So it'll be link, 1 or 2 lines, and give them the link again. Most of the time, I'm going to give them 3 links. If not, sometimes maybe it'll be just, this is the most awesome video ever. I'm sure you're going to love it. And then we'll just go, best regards, Jeff, and then a link. But I really believe you do want to shake things up. You don't want to be completely predictable all the time, but you definitely want to also, at the same time, create this overall tone so they feel like they know you, that they know what to expect when they open your email. And then one other thing you want to do is down here, of course, these days we've got some new guidelines from the FTC, and they say we have to have a disclaimer whenever we promote something. And so, you're going to want to have disclaimer text down here at the end of your email. And I am not a lawyer, and I don't play a lawyer on TV, but definitely, we have to pay more attention these days than we ever had before. You need a disclaimer down here, and then down here you also need your unsubscription, telling them how they can unsubscribe. This is basically built into Profile. It's actually built into pretty much any list management software that it will automatically put the unsub down at the bottom for you. One thing that some people do, they put a ton of white space here, and then they put all the way down, on the floor is where the unsub is, and they figure we're just, if I put it far enough down, no one's ever going to scroll down and unsub. It's bad karma. Don't want to do that. It's just, if someone wants off your list, you want them off the list. It doesn't do any good to have them there. So don't bury that unsub notice. And then also you do, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but according to this CAN spam law in the United States, you need to have your address down here as well. So typically your address actually would come in here. It's P.O. Box or whatever. Here's your address. So this is just some of the, obviously this isn't going to make you a ton of money, but it's stuff you need to do. You need to have that stuff down there. But that's all at the bottom, and it's below your PS. And you put a couple line breaks in here. Again, you don't want to put 100 line breaks in here and bury the disclaimer at the bottom, because I don't think that's going to make the FTC real happy if they actually decide to look at your emails. So this is sort of the let's forget all this mumbo jumbo down there. These are a couple of structures that are working pretty well for me right now. So you want to always be testing that, looking at your opens, looking at your click-throughs, and judging what works best. But give them a few links to choose from and let them click away.